You're listening to the Brave Babe podcast. I hope you're ready to be totally inspired to be brave and radically empowered to drop your excuses, pick up your worth, and start creating a life you truly love. Because, babe, you're worth it. Hey, babe. Welcome to episode 1 of the Brave Babe podcast. I'm your fearless host, Jelena Dawn, and today I'm going to share with you the top 5 things that keep us as women from being brave in our daily lives, and more importantly, how to kick those things to the curb. Adios, goodbye, suckus. So you can start making brave choices each day that enhance your lifestyle and catapult you towards achieving your dreams and goals, whatever they may be. Before we dive in, I'd like to proudly share that the Brave Babe podcast is sponsored by Bluehost. Bluehost has the best web hosting and it's totally compatible with WordPress, which I love so much. So if you've been considering starting or even just fine-tuning your own blog, head over to bebravebabe.com for my totally free online Brave Babe blogger course that'll walk you through how to start your own blog completely from scratch and even show you how to monetize your blog. Because heck yeah, you should get paid for the stories you tell and the content you create for your audience. I even have a special offer from Bluehost just for you. Sweet. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if you're anything like me, and probably 99% of women in this world, if we're being honest, you probably feel stuck at times. Like you're just trudging through each day, going through the motions, doing whatever is expected of you, because the excuses that get in the way of creating the life you secretly, truly desire for yourself and your family just seem too overwhelming and too tough to tackle. Babe, you are not alone in this. What I'm about to say may or may not be a surprise to you, but it seriously makes my heart ache and my stomach turn. According to a study that the company Wrangler, of all people, and yes, I mean Wrangler as in the jeans, had conducted through market researchers one poll, more than 2/3 of Americans frequently use the phrase same story, different day. And a whopping 80% admit to feeling stuck, like they're in the 1993 film Groundhog Day. Who remembers that classic? Y'all, wouldn't you agree that there's so much more to life than same shit, different day? I know you're nodding your head yes. So then, why do we keep living like this? Well, in my opinion, wait, hold up. If my opinion is going to mean anything to you at all, perhaps I should take this opportunity to tell you who the heck I am, right? Okay, here goes. So I'm Jelena, and I'm just your average Joe. Jojo is actually what my best friend calls me because no one ever pronounces my name right. People call me Jolena instead of Jelena, so my nickname became Joe. I live in Arizona on a little farm in the city with my husband of 11 years, who, ironically, I met in jail. I usually don't elaborate further on how I met my husband because I think it's hilarious to leave people guessing, but because I really want you to get to know me, I spent 10 years working in law enforcement before becoming a stay-at-home mom. My husband also works in law enforcement, hence how we met in jail 15 years ago. We have 4 children together, ages 5, 6, 10, and 11, and no, we weren't that busy making babies back to back. We actually adopted our 3 youngest children through foster care. In February of this year, I wildly decided that I was going to cross off the number 1 thing on my bucket list, which was to become an author. I wrote and self-published my memoir called Dear Pervert, I'm Spilling All of Your Dirty Little Secrets, in which I called out the man who sexually abused me throughout my childhood and shared all of the ways I progressively learned to cope and even the soul-crushing, embarrassing times I just couldn't cope with my trauma. My goal with sharing my story was to encourage other women to take the first steps to healing from similar trauma. And according to the feedback I've gotten thus far, encouragement and inspiration is what my readers gained, which I give all praise to my Heavenly Father for. Women started telling me that I was brave for sharing my story with the world and saying things like, I wish I could be as brave as you. And each time that I heard that, I just wanted to shake them and say, you can be brave. You are brave. You have it in you. You just have to activate it. This ignited a passion in me, and there began my mission to find ways to inspire bravery and empower women to drop their excuses, pick up their worth, and create a life they love. These are all things that I touched on in my book, but I enjoy elaborating further on each week on my blog, Be Brave Babe. This has since led to the creation of the Babe Brave Tribe, which is a community of women who inspire and empower each other like a sisterhood, where superficial friendships are replaced by deep, meaningful connections with women who lift each other up. Anywho, that's me. Now, back to my opinion of why we stay stuck in that same shit, different day mentality. It's probably worth mentioning real quick that I've spent a lot of time researching this topic, so my opinion is also shared by a lot of other people, like perhaps you've heard of my mentor, Brene Brown. So I'm not just pulling these excuses out of my you know what. Are you ready to hear the top 5 things that keep women from being brave? You probably recognize a few, if not all of these, but remember, you're not alone. Fear, particularly the fear of failure, perfectionism, other people's opinions, comparison, and self worth are all things that impact how brave we are in our daily lives. I'm going to unpack each of these excuses for you real quick and also share some ways to work around them. First is fear. Fear is the capital B, if you know what I mean. When we are aware of danger, whether it's real or perceived danger, or we expect something bad to happen, we get that unpleasant feeling. We know this unpleasant feeling as being scared. And when we're scared, we do one of two things. We either lean into fear or we armor up, as my girl Brene says, which means that to protect ourselves when we feel afraid, we lean into bad behaviors. These behaviors look differently for each of us, but they may include shutting down, running away, or striving for perfection, just to name a few. Let me give an easy example here. If your friend asks you to go bungee jumping, but you're scared crapless of heights, you'd probably say no way and run back to the car, right? Or if you fear not being good enough at something, whether it's a new job you've considered applying for, or even becoming a parent, because let's be real, parenting is hard. You may not even give it a go at all because not trying seems better than trying and failing. Or you may do the opposite and not just give it a go, but strive for complete perfection and accept anything less as a big fat failure. We're going to talk more about perfection in a hot minute because that's excuse number 2, but in both ways, not trying at all or trying too hard. You're armoring up to protect yourself from fear. This is totally natural and it's something that most of us do on the daily, but fear, especially the fear of failing, is hindering you from making brave choices in your life. And bravery is required if you're going to become unstuck and create the life you want. Now, I'm sorry to drop this bomb on you, but in case you're living in some alternate reality in your head, you need to know that the life you truly want isn't just going to fall into your lap. Sorry, sis, but that's the truth. You have to create it for yourself, and creation takes bravery, and bravery is the opposite of fear. So, babe, here's what you need to do. When you start to feel afraid, rather than armor up, lean into fear. Recognize your fear, call that B out, and do it, whatever it may be, in spite of fear. You must stop allowing fear to paralyze you. The view at the top of the mountain is beautiful and glorious and accomplished, but you're never going to see that view if you don't start the journey of making the climb. Starting your journey requires taking step after step, shoving fear to the side along the way. So what if you fall? Get back up. We've all heard this so many times throughout our lives. I know it's easier said than done, but seriously, babe, break up with fear and stop allowing yourself to be afraid to fail. Failure is a part of life. Failure is required in all aspects of life. It means that you're trying, and more importantly, you're learning and improving. This brings us into excuse number 2, perfectionism. I actually wrote about this just the other day for the Brave Babe Tribe over on bebravebabe.com in a post called What to Do When You Feel Like a Failure. I've been reading a book called Brave, Not Perfect by Reshma Saujani. Reshma is the creator of Girls Who Code, which is a nonprofit that equips young women with the necessary computing skills to pursue 21st century opportunities in computer science. In Brave, Not Perfect, Reshma talks about how, as women, we're taught from an early age to play it safe and we're rewarded for being quiet and polite, and urged to be careful so we don't get hurt, and steered towards activities at which we could shine, all which contributed to us growing up to be women who are afraid to fail. Hence, we strive for the opposite of failure, which is perfection. I want to read page 29 from this badass book with you real quick. Reshma calls this perfection or bust, and wrote, "When girls first walk into our Girls Who Code program, we immediately see the fear of not getting it right on full display. Every teacher in our program tells the same story. At some point during the early lessons, a girl will call her over and say she's stuck. The teacher will look at her screen and the girl's text editor will be blank. If the teacher didn't know any better, she'd think her student had spent the past 20 minutes just staring at her screen. But if she presses undo a few times, she'll see that her student wrote code and deleted it. The student tried, she came close, but she didn't get it exactly right. Instead of showing the progress she made, she'd rather show nothing at all, perfection or bust." How often do you do the same? I know I subconsciously do this all the time. I'll power through that first excuse of fear of failure, but when I struggle with what I'm trying to do, I strive for perfection and I don't allow others to see my struggles along the way, which will tie into excuse number three of allowing other people's opinions to affect us. What a tangled web we weave, right? It's a proven fact that women strive for perfection, whereas most men are totally okay with mediocrity. I don't know about you, but I often find myself feeling like if I don't do something perfectly, I should just give up rather than be vulnerable and continuing to try. Because trying means that people can see my failures. Whereas if I don't try at all, no one knows but me. The fear of not doing something good enough sometimes keeps me from giving myself permission to be brave in the pursuit of things that scare me. The opposite of bravery is cowardice. And babe, neither you nor I are cowards. Can I get an amen? My girl Reshma assures us that as women, we should not strive for perfection because perfection is an all or nothing game. Whereas when pursuing excellence, failure won't break you because it's not a win or lose kind of game. To quote her further, excellence is a way of being, not a target you hit or miss. It allows you to take pride in the effort you put in, regardless of the outcome. So there's your workaround perfectionism interfering with you making brave choices. Bravery is not perfection or bust. Stop striving for perfection and strive for excellence instead. Imagine the endless possibilities if you stopped being a self critic and you started being a cheerleader instead. This has helped me tremendously, and I know it'll help you too. Excuse number three can be a tough one to tackle, but have no fear. I've got you covered on this one. I'm sure you know of my girl, Rachel Hollis. If you don't, you must be living under a rock. Rach is infamous for professing that other people's opinions of you are none of your business. As if the fear of failing and striving for perfection weren't already huge obstacles for being brave babes, sprinkle on other people's opinions and you create a really massive poop cupcake. A what, you ask? A poop cupcake is something that, like life, looks pretty and sweet and nice from the outside, but also like life, is just a crap show on the inside. Doesn't that describe us pretty accurately? Too often we wear masks and we appear to have our lives together, but on the inside we're secretly dying, craving way more out of life. We're poop cupcakes. Pretty on the outside, feeling like crap on the inside. But I've got great news for you, babe. We can totally flip the script. What is that one thing you really want to do that will catapult you towards the life you really want? That thing that you keep to yourself because you worry about what other people will think if you tell them or if you try it. Maybe it's going back to school or quitting the job you despise to start a new career in something completely different that you have no experience in. For me, it was self publishing my book. Talk about worrying about what others will think after you spill the secrets you've kept your whole life. There's so much power in learning not to care or worry about what other people think about you and the decisions you make. It can be a tough habit to master, especially because as women, we tend to put the wants and needs of others before our own. And naturally, we want to be liked by and connect with others. But once you master not letting other people's unsolicited opinions, the ones that you don't ask for, affect the decisions you make, it allows you to be unapologetically you, the you that you were created to be, the brave babe. Other people's opinions of you should not hold more value over your own opinion of you. Babes, we've got to stop giving a you know what about what you know who might think if we do this or that, say this or that, wear this or that, parent your kids this or that way. Worrying about other people's opinions feeds into your fear, can lead to you not trying your thing at all, or lead to you striving for perfection, which we just discussed. It can also lead to excuses number 4 and 5, comparison and self-worth issues. When it comes to making brave decisions, trust your gut or confide in the people who you trust to give you unbiased opinions, but tell everybody else to shove their opinions you know where. Quoting Rachel Hollis again so it really sinks in, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Moving on to excuse number 4, comparison. The reason why we struggle with insecurity is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. That's a quote by Stephen Furtick, and it's a pretty darn good one if you ask me. When it comes to making brave choices in our daily lives, we've got to stop comparing ourselves to others and have confidence in our own unique abilities. We were all created for a purpose unique to us. You were given special talents and gifts to share with the world, and your gifts and talents differ from mine, from your sisters, your coworkers, your best friend, and every person that you follow on Instagram. Comparison will only stall your progress. If you spend all of your time comparing yourself to other people's achievements, how will you get anything accomplished yourself? We've got to stop focusing on what other people have going on and start investing all of our energy into pursuing our own dreams and goals. Part of being brave means growing confidence in ourselves rather than letting comparison create doubt that hinders our bravery. Bravery is like a muscle. It's there, but you have to train it properly to develop the bravery needed to achieve your goals and create the life you truly want. Comparison will keep you stuck. Confidence is brave. But to be confident in yourself, you have to have self-worth, which brings us to number 5 on my list of things that keep us from being brave. You heard my intro for this Brave Babe podcast, and you've heard me say that the entire purpose of the Brave Babe movement is to inspire bravery and empower women to drop their excuses, pick up their worth, and create a life they love, right? So, if you're going to drop your excuses, and to recap, those excuses include fearing failure, striving for perfectionism, worrying about other people's opinions, and comparing yourself to others, then you definitely need to pick up your worth. Like, seriously, scoop it up off of the ground, pour it into your coffee, and drink it up. You are worthy of every single goal and dream you have for yourself. Self-worth is a big deal for me because it's the one excuse I've struggled with the most throughout my life, and it's the thing that contributed the most to my self-sabotaging ways. Growing up with a sexually abusive stepfather after my own dad left me at a very young age, I struggled big time with feeling unworthy of love and unworthy of accomplishing anything meaningful in my life. As a child, I assumed I wasn't good enough, and it took me well into my adulthood to learn that none of the trauma I endured was my fault, and I am absolutely worthy of healing and loving myself enough to create the life that I want. And babe, you are worthy too. You are worthy of being loved by others, but more importantly, you're worthy of loving yourself enough to become unstuck, to get out of that same shit, different day mentality and make brave choices every single day. And yes, bravery is a choice. Every single day, you have the choice to put up your armor and remain in fear, or to lean into fear and choose bravery. You have the choice to burn yourself out striving for perfection, or to be patient with yourself and strive for excellence. You have the choice to let other people's opinions affect your life, or you can choose to not concern yourself with other people's opinions and do what you know is right for you. You have the choice to compare yourself to others or to exercise your bravery muscle and be confident in your own unique gifts and talents and your own unique pace and lifestyle. And finally, you can choose that you and no one else determines your worth. And you can bravely drop all these excuses, pick up your worth, and go out there and create the life you love. Babe, be brave. Thanks for listening to the Brave Babe podcast. For more inspiration and empowerment, head over to bebravebabe.com and join our Brave Babe tribe. We would be seriously honored to have you. Have a great week. Until next time.